Let's be real. Shark Tank isn't supposed to make you cry. It's supposed to be about cold, hard cash, ruthless negotiations, and entrepreneurs getting eaten alive by millionaires in suits. But sometimes, just sometimes, the tank delivers something different, something that hits you right in the chest and reminds you why people risk everything for a dream. These aren't your typical, "I invented a better bottle opener" pitches. These are the moments when the camera's caught something raw, something human. The kind of episodes that make you forget you're watching a business show and remind you that behind every product pitch is a person with a story. And once you hear these stories, the tank will never look the same.
I can't get involved with you because there's not enough margin for me as a distributor.
Johnny George didn't walk into the Shark Tank to become a millionaire. He walked in with a mission, and it had nothing to do with profit margins. This 65-year-old farmer from South Carolina had spent years perfecting tree TPE, a simple plastic cone that wraps around young trees to help them grow faster while using 90% less water. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. When Johnny started his pitch, the sharks were immediately interested. Here was a product that actually worked, solved a real problem, and had massive market potential. John Paul DeJoria was ready to write a check on the spot, but then Johnny revealed something that confused everyone. He was selling his tree TPEs for $4.50 when they cost him $2.95 to make, earning only about $1.55 profit per unit. The sharks looked puzzled. Most entrepreneurs try to maximize their margins, but Johnny had a different philosophy. His father had been a farmer who invented the original concept back in 1986, a man who worked the land with his hands and believed in taking care of other farmers. Before he died, he made Johnny promise to help other farmers, not to get rich off them. Johnny's voice cracked as he talked about honoring his father's memory and keeping his prices low so farmers could afford his product. The tank went silent. These were business people who lived and breathed profit margins. And here was a man willing to sacrifice potential wealth to help his community. John Paul DeJoria stepped in. Not only did he offer Johnny the $150,000 for 20% he was seeking, but he also promised to help him find ways to reduce manufacturing costs so Johnny could keep his prices farmer-friendly while still making a living. The real emotional moment came when Johnny started tearing up, explaining how his dad would have been proud to see him in the tank, fighting for farmers instead of fighting for money. But if you think family promises tug at your heartstrings, wait until you see what happens when an 11-year-old becomes the man of the house.
Hello, my name is Mosiah Bridges and I'm the CEO of Mo's Bows.
Mosiah Bridges didn't just pitch Mo's Bows. He pitched a way to help his family survive while chasing his fashion dreams. This 11-year-old from Memphis had started making bow ties when he was just 9 years old, after he couldn't find any that matched his style. With help from his grandmother who taught him to sew, Mo began creating colorful, handmade bow ties that stood out from anything else on the market. But Mo's story wasn't just about fashion. As a young entrepreneur, he was already thinking about responsibility and giving back. He'd started his business partly because he wanted to help his family and community. Standing in front of 5 millionaires, this kid didn't ask for pity or special treatment. He asked for $50,000 for 20% of his company, explaining his sales figures and business model with the confidence of someone 3 times his age. The sharks were impressed by Mo's enthusiasm, his profit margins, and his business acumen. His bow ties were selling for $40 to $50 each on Etsy, and he had a clear vision for growth. While none of the sharks offered him a deal that day.
So in 1989, I was offered $10,000 for 40% of my company.
Daymond John stepped up with something more valuable than money. He offered to mentor Mo for free, seeing himself in the young entrepreneur who was already thinking about building an empire. Daymond later said that watching Mo reminded him why he got into business in the first place. Not just to make money, but to create opportunities and help the next generation succeed. The moment that hit everyone was seeing this 11-year-old talk about his dreams with such maturity while still being, well, 11. Mo would later meet President Obama, partner with the NBA, and build $1 million business, all while staying in school. Speaking of young entrepreneurs with big dreams, some businesses start because someone gets caught between fear and opportunity. Brighton Jones and Aaron Daly walked into the tank with Enso Rings, but they were really selling a story about safety and innovation. The silicone wedding rings were designed to solve a serious problem: ring avulsion injuries. These horrific accidents happen when traditional metal wedding rings get caught on equipment or machinery, potentially ripping off fingers or causing severe damage. Brighton and Aaron had witnessed these injuries firsthand and knew that over 150,000 people suffer ring-related accidents every year in the US. Their solution was elegant. Silicone rings that would break away cleanly if caught, protecting the wearer from serious injury. Their pitch was memorable not just for the product, but for their dramatic demonstration. They brought in professional bodybuilders who pulled on ropes attached to metal rings versus Enso Rings, showing exactly how their product could save fingers and lives. The emotional weight came from their passion for the mission. These weren't just entrepreneurs trying to make money. They were safety advocates who had turned a real problem into a viable business solution. Brighton and Aaron were asking for $500,000 for 7.5% of their company, backed by impressive sales numbers, $3.8 million in 18 months with projections of $5 million the following year. While some sharks questioned their fear-based marketing approach, Robert Herjavec and Kevin O'Leary saw the value. After a bidding war, they accepted Robert's offer of $500,000 for 15% equity. The real emotion came from watching two friends turn a safety concern into a mission to protect other people from preventable injuries. But sometimes the tank doesn't just test business ideas. It reveals generational wisdom in unexpected packages. Mark Aramli walked into Shark Tank carrying the weight of innovation and the urgency of an engineer who knew he had something special. As a former NASA spacesuit engineer, Mark had spent years working on life support systems before deciding to tackle a problem much closer to home temperature control for sleeping. His product, BedJet, was a climate control system for beds that could heat or cool your mattress using forced air technology. The concept was simple but revolutionary. Instead of heating or cooling an entire room, why not just control the temperature of your bed? Mark's pitch revealed the personal motivation behind his invention. He'd developed the system while caring for his bedridden mother, trying to keep her comfortable in a drafty Connecticut home. Traditional heating pads and electric blankets weren't enough. He needed something more sophisticated. Standing before the sharks, Mark was seeking $250,000 for 10% of his company. He demonstrated the product by having the sharks actually get into a bed and experience the technology firsthand. The emotional moment came when Mark talked about watching his mother struggle with temperature regulation during her recovery. His engineering background had given him the skills to solve the problem, but his love for his mother had given him the motivation. While the sharks ultimately didn't make a deal, they were concerned about the $499 price point and production challenges. Mark's story resonated with anyone who'd ever tried to help a loved one be more comfortable. BedJet would go on to become one of Shark Tank's most successful rejections, eventually generating millions in sales and proving that sometimes the best validation comes from customers, not investors. Innovation often comes from personal pain, but some of the most powerful pitches come from entrepreneurs trying to right their own wrongs. Not every emotional Shark Tank moment comes from triumph. Some come from entrepreneurs who are seeking redemption for past mistakes. One of the most powerful examples was an entrepreneur who had previously failed in business and was trying to make amends not just to investors, but to the communities his previous failures had affected. This type of pitch, where someone returns to the tank not just seeking money but seeking a chance to do better, often creates the most compelling television. These entrepreneurs carry the weight of their past decisions while trying to build something meaningful for the future. The sharks respond differently to redemption stories. They can spot genuine remorse and growth, but they're also skeptical of entrepreneurs who might repeat past mistakes. When someone stands in the tank and openly discusses their failures, their regrets, and their plans to do better, it creates a vulnerability that's hard to ignore. These pitches often become about more than business. They become about character, second chances, and the possibility of turning failure into wisdom. Sometimes the most emotional moments happen when entrepreneurs realize their dreams might hurt the people they're trying to help. The tank has seen its share of entrepreneurs who start businesses to solve problems, only to discover that their solutions create new challenges. These moral dilemmas create some of the most emotionally complex moments on the show. When an entrepreneur realizes that their path to success might come at someone else's expense, the sharks and viewers get to witness real-time ethical decision-making. Some entrepreneurs choose to stick with profitable but problematic approaches. Others sacrifice potential profits to do what they believe is right. These moments reveal character in ways that financial projections never could. The sharks often respect entrepreneurs who choose the harder path, even when it doesn't make immediate business sense. These decisions separate true leaders from opportunists, and create the kind of stories that viewers remember long after the episode ends. Here's the thing about these moments. They remind us why Shark Tank works. Yeah, it's entertaining to watch cocky entrepreneurs get humbled by millionaire investors. It's fun to see ridiculous products get torn apart by sharp questions. But the episodes that stick with you, the ones that actually change how you see business and life, those are the ones where someone shows up completely vulnerable, where they risk everything, not just money, but dignity, relationships, dreams, in front of millions of people. Johnny George taught us that success doesn't always mean maximum profit. Sometimes it means keeping promises to people who can't hold you accountable anymore. Mo Bridges showed us that age is just a number when you've got real passion and family support behind your vision. Brighton Jones and Aaron Daly reminded us that the best businesses solve real problems, even when those problems are ones most people never think about. Mark Ramley demonstrated that innovation often comes from personal experience and the desire to help people we love. These weren't just business pitches. They were masterclasses in what it means to be human while trying to be successful. Most people think Shark Tank is about money, about deals and valuations and equity percentages. But the episodes that matter, the ones that get shared and remembered and talked about years later, they're about something bigger. They're about regular people doing extraordinary things, about the courage it takes to stand in front of successful strangers and say, "This is my dream and I'm willing to risk everything for it." So yeah, Shark Tank might be a business show, but sometimes, if you're paying attention, it's also a masterclass in what it means to be courageously, vulnerably, impossibly human. And those episodes, those are the ones that stay with you long after the credits roll.